I'm back. I'm back because it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a book list to read to. Read to. Let me stop. Anyway, I'm just coming on here real quick because it's like, you know what? The summer is about to start. Um, Although it doesn't matter because we're in quarantine, so every day is like a summer day. And I said, I've given you like two book lists. The first two were nonfiction books, so I was like, let me give a list of fiction books, Black literature, that I think you all should check out. So this list is a list of books that I've read, or they are on my to do or to read list, and I haven't. So first up, and this is a shameful, I need to read this, but it is Richard Wright's Native Son. This is a classic. I just feel like I need to read it. It's definitely something that's highly recommended. So I would say, hey, read Richard Wright's Native Son. I'm pretty sure a lot of Black studies people have already read it. And I was one of them, but I didn't do Black literature, so I don't know how I missed that one. Another book that I have that I actually did read, and it's super short. It's so bright. It's super short. It's called So Long a Letter, and it's actually written by an African author, Mariam, and it's So Long a Letter. So it's written as a letter where this woman who is in a polygamous relationship, she just pens this note to her friends and tells her about her whole relationship and the drama and why she's not happy and all of that. It's a good short read if you want to like get into some African authors. This is one. Another great African author or African read is The Story of Sunjata. Let me turn this off. The Story of Sunjata. Does anybody know the story of Sunjata? Anyway, it's an African myth, but also based on truth. But it's the story of Sunjata, who was a Mali prince, and his rise and fall, or maybe just the rise. Hey, cuz. So add this to your list, Sunjata. Again, it's a very short book, but it's an important African narrative tale that we should all know about. Because, you know, how many of us know about African princes? We don't. It's an interesting story because it starts off with him not being able to walk upright. He was walking on his hands and feet, if I'm not mistaken. I read this like 17 years ago. So forgive me if I'm forgetting the detail. The fourth book here is from our very own, Florida's very own Zora Neale Hurston. This is Moses, Man of the Mountain, where she takes us the Exodus story of Moses and puts it in the context of Black people. I enjoyed this. I don't know. I think you should read this. It's an excellent, it's a Zora Neale Hurston classic as well, just like their eyes were watching God. Another African author, this is a book that I want to read that I have not read, which is Ben Okri's Famished Roads. And it's dealing with, let me get the right, I'm probably going to say this wrong. Abuku is a spirit child who exists between the dead and the living world, and this child is reborn. And so just like, it's dealing with Yoruba traditions within Nigeria. So I would want to read this just to, you know, learn a little more about the tradition and the stories. So I recommend this. Famished Roads, Ben Okri. Then, of course, I had to give you a Toni Morrison book, A Mercy, and this is one of her later works, and I found it perhaps more accessible than some other of her writings, but I loved it. If you like Toni Morrison, it's good because it looks at the time before slavery and sort of imagines what that would have been like. And then I have two other books that I don't actually have the hard copy with me because this, I don't know, somewhere around here in this house, or maybe it's in New York. But one of them is Invisible Man. No, I lent that book out and it has not returned to me. It has returned to me void, but I'm not God, and it wasn't his word. Anyway, the book the book is called Invisible Man, which is it's a Ralph Ellison's book. Around the same time, I think, as Richard Wright and all of that, where they're just talking about being Black in America. And it'd be interesting to read that and then think about how their experiences line up to how we experience Blackness in America today. But that's an excellent book where through the whole time you never know about the protagonist's name because no one's ever saying it. You know, he's invisible. And then the last one is a more modern book. Again, the hard copy is up in New York. I know that for sure. But it's by a young author. I think she's 25, 26. had a 7-figure deal for a 3-book series that would also turn into a movie, and it's by Tomi Adeyomi. Hopefully I said her name right. But his the first book, which is Children of Blood and Bones, it's young adult fiction, but I enjoyed it. It's thick, but I read it like in a week or so, like a week and a half, like 500 pages. It's unheard of. And she also has a sequel, but I would definitely check that book out, Children of Blood and Bones. So yeah, that's my list of books for the summer if you want to just get into one or all. So that's, again, Children of Blood and Bone, Tomi Adeyomi, A Mercy by Toni Morrison, Moses, Man of the Mountain by Zora Neale Hurston, Famished Roads by Ben Okri, So Long a Letter by Mariam, The Story of Sundaita. You can also find that you don't have to buy that copy. That's almost like you can Google The Story of Sundaita and hear and read about it. And let's see, I said The Native Son by Richard Wright. I think I got everything. And Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. So those are my lists. Let me know if you've read any or if you have any recommendations. I would gladly come back on here and read or give out more. I have more books, but I just could not find it. Hey, Miss Wanda, I just could not find my books. This is all I have right now. So, but I'll be back. And tomorrow I will have part 5 of my Untold series where I talk about the untold stories of the civil rights movement, where I look at important cases. This week I'm looking at what's been called collectively the civil rights cases, which is very important because that's where the court, in my opinion, really hamstrung Black America, Black rights, civil rights in this country, and made it much harder, and also began to separate this racial discrimination from the history of slavery, which, again, it's very important to connect it to, but the courts was so willing to disconnect. Anyway, I don't want to spoil all that. That's tomorrow. Check back tomorrow, and I will see y'all then. Holla. Oh, and Conspiracy Hour is probably going down as well. Take care. Bye.